the United States sells more adult diapers than it does actual infant diapers. And that made me realize, I was like, that is a staggering stat, like it's a powerful statistic.
These devices that help with aesthetics, right? They help with a lot of doctors with aesthetics. If you want, let's say 25% muscle mass gain, you can get that in the abs, and 30% fat loss in just 4 sessions with the M-Sculpt Neo.
So, with your practice in opening the pathway of that energy to that muscle, then you have something that literally demands it keeps talking, right? Hi, I'm Tim Breitbach. I'm known as the impatient one, and this is Go with the Flow. On today's episodes, we're lucky to have Dr. Sam Patel, a consultant for BTL Industries, the global innovators in the field of health, wellness, and medicine, specifically with technology that advances the body to heal at a pace that's literally been unheard of. BTL Industries is becoming one of the world's largest manufacturers of medical and aesthetic equipment with direct offices in more than 80 countries around the world. Dr. Patel is a consultant for BTL, and Dr. Chris Cormier is a client to use the products. And I think both are pretty excited about this new relationship, and we'd like to dig into it. Welcome, Dr. Patel.
Hey, well, I appreciate you having me. This is exciting. I love talking about the latest advancements in technology, but more so how they can be applied to bettering patient care and outcomes. And topics like this really excite me. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Right. So we'll start with a question for Dr. Cormier, since I know you a little better, Chris. So one of the things that I've known about you is you're curious. I mean, if curiosity killed the cat, you have 900 lives, literally. And the question of what if has permeated your practice for years and years and years. I think going back to when you finished chiropractic school. So, let's talk a little bit about how your pursuit of the latest and greatest kind of got you started in your path in medicine.
Yeah, thanks so much for the introduction. And yes, it's been an interesting journey. So we've obviously the methodology they taught me in chiropractic school was all about the nervous system and all about the brain and the spinal cord and all the major nerves connecting to all the parts. But all they taught me in chiropractic school was you had to straighten all the spinal vertebrae, and that turned on the nerves and made the power go back to those parts. Well, I did that early on in practice and just wasn't seeing the results I wanted to see. And so through a lot of research and just being in the right time at the right moment with an open mind, I was able to formulate everything that we have in place now, which is much more specific. It's actually getting into the brain of every patient we see and actually finding where the brain is disconnected, be an input or output to a certain part. And keep in mind all your organs, your glands, your muscles, your skin, your bones, everything is wired to your brain. It's this massive wiring network, and your brain's like your power company. And so it does what we call energy flow. And there's a flow of energy. Most people are very acclimated with blood flow to and from the heart, but your brain is doing this energy flow concept to all your parts. So that's been our world. And we've taken it down to a cellular level even. And now we're able to get the basic ingredients back into a cell with oxygen, water, and light energy.
That's great. And so, Dr. Patel, as you hear this, obviously you've had your own methodology and approach to practice that led you to be a consultant for these type of products. Why don't you give us the method to your madness?
Sure. Yeah. So my background was I first got into the medical arena with actually going into traditional forms of medical clinic and practicing. So I purchased a medical practice several years ago. It was a medicine-based, insurance-based practice. We did, sick people, weight loss, hormones, all things that were important, but certainly very surface level. And there was so much deep-rooted issues that we had to address. Rather than throwing a band-aid or a pill at someone, why don't we address the actual underlying issue? And that led me to curiosity of these technologies. How do we stabilize muscle? How do we enhance and protect muscle? And how does that contribute to aging? We know it's a massive part of aging. We know it contributes to long-term health. As we age, we lose muscle. As we age, we lose our balance, and that is why, because of muscle. And as we start to increase weight, it impacts our body, our joints, it increases pain, it causes issues that we have to then worry about later down the road, such as blood pressure, diabetes, and heart abnormalities. So why don't we help be preventative? Let's go to the root cause. And that was my true inspiration to looking at technology to allow us to do that. I was just tired of seeing patients being thrown more and more medications. That wasn't solving the problem. That was just keeping the problem from maybe getting worse. And maybe sometimes it was actually getting worse because the medications nowadays have terrible side effects. So these technologies were exciting. They are exciting. And I think that everyone should see these as the new wave of medicine. And we're really excited to be able to bring this to the world, not just because of patient outcomes, but because this is where we're heading. Technology has taken over every piece of our life, from cell phones to the internet, now into medicine. And we're living in exciting times. And this is a great topic for people out there to be aware of, because this is the new reality.
Why don't you just keep and introduce the M-Sculpt Neo and the M-Cella, just because that came from your recommendation, or came into him searching, Dr. Cormier searching as well for products in that same way. So talk a little bit about what they're about, and then we'll talk to Doctor about how he sees it fitting into the practice.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that. So when I was investigating all the different types of opportunities or options there were for treatment, certainly there's a lot of things out there. There's laser technologies, there's things that help with fat reduction, there's things that help with muscle enhancement. There's a lot of amazing opportunities out there. But the one that really showed itself to be most advantageous for us was the M-Sculpt Neo, which is created by a company called BTL. BTL is a company that is based out of the Czech Republic. They have a very large presence here. They're headquartered here in Massachusetts. And they're a company that traditionally have been known to be huge players, and still are internationally, in physiotherapy. So they create physiotherapy technology, they create rehabilitative technology. They also have a cardiovascular division in which they create cardiovascular devices. And they have a really good foundation of medicine. And they took that foundation of medicine to create opportunities here in North America to help rehabilitate muscle, help with weight, help with sexual wellness and hormones, help with all these things that are becoming more and more prevalent, because our culture is now turning into one of higher weight, higher pain, higher chances of abnormalities like heart disease, diabetes. So these technologies have now been applied to this world. And this robust history of BTL, spanning over 31 years now, really is a testament to their hard work and dedication to improving patients' lives with an actual solution that works. They have 500 engineers, which is the most of any company in the entire world. And that shows true dedication for what their focus is. And that's for innovation, producing technology that works, but is the latest and greatest of anything out there. And they further back that with clinical investigation, clinical research. And all of these things I'm mentioning is why I personally brought them into my practices and my businesses, because they had all of this research done. This is important because if we're going to provide solutions for patients, we can't hope for the best. We need to have the best. We have to show proven pathway that this is going to actually work. And they were able to prove that day in and day out with the diversity of clinical studies and publications, and also their dedication to the vast amount of engineers and amazing team that they have grown all throughout the world. Now, these technologies being brought on have allowed me to improve patients' lives, not just by helping them with current concerns, but also preventing them from getting to the demise of what causes issues today: diabetes, joint pain, falling, instability, balance, all these things that we're probably going to talk about. But that is kind of the storyline about this technology, the history of the company, and why I believed in the company, for me to adopt it myself, but also for me to encourage it amongst other amazing physicians, providers, healthcare advocates all around the world.
Dr. Cormier, when you saw this technology and you had a chance to get up close with it a little bit, and you think about your practice, I talked to you on the phone not long afterwards, and man, you were excited. You were really jacked up. So talk a little bit about what got you so jacked up about this.
So in our practice, we're very blessed to see just so many different miracles. And even without this technology, without M-Cella, without M-Sculpt Neo, but there's still some people that we see that have challenges that are that need more work. They need more technology. And so what excited me so much about it is, first and foremost, there's no other feeling like being on this device on any. I mean, we have so much technology in my office. You've been in my office, Tim. It's people don't realize how much we have until you come here and see what we have. But having this newer technology, there's no feeling you can get by being on this device, on either one of them, that you'll get on any other device. It's dramatically different, number one. Number two, to have a device that, like just regarding the M-Cella, and take all the pelvic floor muscles, right? And our mission, we're at the Nerve Health Institute here, and our mission is to connect the brain to different parts of the body. You know, you want to think about your muscles. They won't work without energy flowing from your brain down through your spinal cord, through a particular nerve into a particular group of muscles. And you think about, you know, we have this condition as just going through age. It's called sarcopenia, where literally parts of the body, the muscles start to waste away. And so we have a lot of our patients coming to see us, you know, various ages. Some have very big weaknesses early on, and others are later in life. But the reality is, when you can sit on an M-Cella device and in 28 minutes have more than 11,100% Kegel contractions of all the musculature in your pelvic floor, I mean, there's nothing that you can do like that I've ever seen, ever. And then regarding the M-Sculpt Neo, you know, the first time I got on it, we used the magnets here on my abs, and it did 20,000 muscle contractions in just 30 minutes. And we're talking 100% contractions. It's so again, to make the brain reconnect to these parts that many times, you know, for me to tell my patients, hey, we're going to reconnect, get you stronger here, but I want you to leave here and do 20,000 crunches. I mean, that's not doable. And then, or I want you to leave here and do 11,000 plus Kegels. That's not doable. So, and even if they could do it, they wouldn't do it with 100% muscle contraction. So that's what excited us the most. And then in terms, you know, the company, BTL is amazing, as Dr. Patel was mentioning. It really intrigued me regarding their innovation and their constant pursuit for better, because that's it aligns with what we do here. So regarding that, it's like we see a wide array of so many different types of patients, and you know, BTL has these devices that help with aesthetics, right? They help with a lot of doctors with aesthetics. If you want, let's say, 25% muscle mass gain, you can get that in the abs, and 30% fat loss in just 4 sessions with the M-Sculpt Neo. But for us, that's great. But I want to take a paralyzed patient and get a paralyzed patient to walk quicker. Or I want to take somebody with MS, and you know, they have debilitated limbs that, you know, are just dying away, and we want to rejuvenate those. Or ALS and all these types of neurological conditions, even just foot drop, right? Or people that have just had major nerve issues with neuropathy, those types of things that we see here. We're able to get them from A to B quicker. And that's what excites me the most about having this technology in the office, coupled with the other technology we have.
One thing that you had said to me in the work that we've done together is how the products, the technology, and the exercise of those muscles increase the communication back to the brain as well. So with your practice in opening the pathway of that energy to that muscle, then you have something that literally demands it keeps talking, right? It's just like, because it's working so efficiently and so effectively. So it's gone from, it didn't even know it existed, from the brain down to the pelvic floor, for instance, to we're best friends. We're going to go fishing. We're going to go do this. We're going to do everything together. You know what I mean? It's like there becomes a harmony, an alertness, presence to doing that and expecting to communicate back and forth through internally.
There truly is there's no other feeling. In fact, it's really pretty funny because we were looking back on the day we had a demo, our first demo. Dr. Patel, you weren't here for that. I know you don't come out for the demos, but you help on the consulting side. But I don't know if you remember back to the first time you experienced it, Dr. Patel, but it it's a feeling like we look back at some of the videos. We filmed the staff, and myself included. My son plays football in college. He came in and was able to do it, and just the feeling that you get the first time you experience it. There's nothing like it. I mean, you've never felt anything like this particular feel. So from a science perspective, to not only feel things contract that I don't think you've ever felt fully contract, it's just mind blowing. So it's I would say, out of all the tech we have here, which we have, like I said, a ton of tech, it's by far the easiest to feel immediate change in an area that maybe has been disconnected for a long time. Let's say it's a paralyzed muscle, and all of a sudden you see it contracting, right? And you can actually watch it contracting, and maybe a finger. Like we had a lady this week where she had really bad ALS and came in from out of state. We have a lot of people that come from out of state, and so we had her on the M-Scope Neo, and we had her fingers where they're curling like this, ran the whole time she's on it. And she hasn't seen her hand do that in a good while. So you're able to just stimulate parts of the body in a way that is completely radically different than everybody else.
And so, Dr. Patel, we talked a lot about patient heal thyself, right? It's just like your entire body is meant to heal itself on a continuous basis. And the ability of this to speed up the process in not just an aesthetic way, but in just a primary function way for living life. How do you feel like when the products that you represent are coming into this type of clinic, that it's really base level major diseases people are dealing with, and they're becoming almost epidemic status in this country, and you think you guys are on the threshold of something amazing?
Absolutely. I mean, we've always seen that this technology has proven itself in the aesthetic arena. And over the last, I would say, 2 years, we're seeing a large shift towards the wellness and functional and rehabilitative use. We've seen this with the orthopedics. We've seen this with some physical therapy. We've seen this with sports teams, with sports medicine. And, really what I've seen, and I told Doc this the same thing, the Nerve Health Institute is really ahead of its kind in terms of thinking about these things and actually addressing it, right? People know this, people have talked about it, but they've never really done anything. The Nerve Health Institute has certainly identified that we have an ability to heal and bring people back a few decades in their life, or at least stop aging and slow it down. And they've taken the action to actually commit to bringing these technologies on for the community. And that encourages me. I love stories like that. Not that the aesthetic stuff isn't fun. Certainly it is, but that's exactly what it is. It's fun. But this is life-changing. This changes people's lives. It brings back the ability to give them function. By giving them function back into their hand, as you mentioned, or arm or leg, or having the ability to walk again properly, that's a gratification that can't be replicated. That is something that gives people a lot of euphoria and youth of just emotion back. And that emotion keeps them living longer, coupled with the fact that they have stronger muscles to help them do that. And these are things that are truly life-changing. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, we're living in an exciting time because we're seeing this transition more and more. And clinics and institutes like the Nerve Health Institute are at the forefront of recognizing this change and acting as a leader in getting us there faster. And we need to have more establishments recognize this. And for patients that are out there, this is an amazing opportunity to now actually go one step further. That's nothing dealing with surgery, that actually has a proven path of success, and that can bring you back to getting to your goals. If you had a knee injury, or if you had a hip replacement, or if you had, a bad, terrible accident, there's no reason to deal with physical therapy for months and months, if not years and years, without any resolve. We can get you from point A to point B with rehabilitating that muscle very quickly. Technology has allowed us to have convenience. If we think about cell phones, we no longer have to send mail out into the postage. We don't have to send pigeons anymore. I mean, the times are gone. We now call people, we text someone, instantly they get that message. Now we can instantly have the brain communicate with the muscles back again by simplistically encouraging it with a high advanced technology such as M-Scope Neo and M-Cella. We don't have to wait around anymore. We can get people much farther along without the downtime, without the frustration, without the ridiculous cost and time of waiting and time off of work and emotional loss that goes with it. We can get someone there within weeks with this technology. And that's what technology like M-Scope Neo and M-Cella have done for us, is not only, as he mentioned, contract the muscles at 100% efficiency. I mean, think about it. The Olympics, are going on and all that's happening recently in the news. Even the Olympians, if they were to do a sit-up or a squat, they're only activating 60% at most muscle fibers. And they're freakishly athletic. With this technology, we're contracting 100%. And that's phenomenal. No matter if you're a person who doesn't have active muscles use, even them are contracting 100%. And that's something to really pay attention to. Technology is allowing us to get there. We're now able to provide treatments quickly. Why is this important? Well, think about the evolution of our culture. We're in a now society. People are working. We can't take time off of work. People don't want downtime. They can't afford downtime. People can't afford to take off of work after a surgery or after going through physical therapy and this. We want to get results quickly. Technology now is allowing us to do that. This is no longer theory. This is fact. And the Nerve Health Institute is practicing exactly this. They're getting to the forefront of this healthcare industry and allowing us to not wait around, allowing us to not have to suffer and for us to heal, producing that muscle contraction, allowing the nerves to even be healthier again. Because if we contract the muscle, what are we stimulating? We're also stimulating more blood flow. The body is going to say, wow, this muscle is active again. I need to produce more blood flow. So the body produces new blood vessels. If the body produces new blood vessels, what does that mean? Not only a healthier muscle, but that also means healthier nerves, because nerves flourish off of healthy blood supply. So if we're able to produce more blood flow, healthier muscle, we're able to produce healthier nerves. Once again, going back to what Doc and his entire team have done, which is focus on how to have this communicate with the muscles below. That can be enhanced by contracting the muscle, providing more blood flow, making healthier nerves, healthier communication.
I'm voting for you for president, that's for sure.
I don't know if I want that. I want that stress.
Well, what if you just got to stay in your lane? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Doc, what do you think about that?
So you couldn't have said it any better. And I want to just add a little bit to it. If you think about areas that have not worked properly, and maybe it's just, a certain muscle group in your body. And I think as people go through life, we kind of make excuses. Most people just make excuses for their health ailments and don't really think about, the brain over time losing connection to parts, or the heart losing the blood flow to parts. And so it is, I'm happy you brought that up, because with the blood flow as well as the energy flow through the nerves, is we want to make sure, if you take a stagnant group of muscles in the pelvic floor, I mean, do you think the average person has ever done 11,000 Kegels? I mean, more than likely not. And even on let's just say it's a 50% Kegel that they were capable of. Well, but chances are people haven't done 11,000 Kegels maybe in their entire life, right? So this is something that's taking areas that are stagnant over, and as time, you just think of these areas just kind of wasting away. And when you start actually contracting them, you're creating a pumping action. I mean, literally, it's just making the heart say, wait a minute. Hey, I forgot about those muscles down there, and let's get some circulation. And the brain saying, oh, wait a second. I didn't realize that was weak down there. Let's get some connection there. So that whole different combination is just so beautiful in restoring health to these really, really important parts. And one of the things I always teach people as well is the muscles in the pelvic floor. They are powered by muscles in your lower back, are really called your sacrum. And the sacral nerves down in your lower back, the sacral nerves in combination with your vagus nerve up here control the healing side of your nervous system. And so we have this healing side and we have a surviving side. And what we see a lot of in our patients is this healing side over time gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and they kind of just survive through life. And they age faster, they don't feel as good, they develop more conditions. And so it really comes down to strengthening that healing side of your nervous system. And for people out there that know a little bit more, this surviving side is called the sympathetic, and the healing side is called the parasympathetic. And so we do a lot to strengthen this side on all the different technologies we have. But the M-Cella device in particular, whenever you can take something like the M-Cella and do 11,000 muscle contractions, more than 11,000 muscle contractions to all these pelvic floor muscles, well, guess what powers all the pelvic floor muscles? It's the sacral nerves. So those sacral nerves get stimulated. Then the blood flow to all those muscles gets stimulated. And that whole parasympathetic nervous system says, wait a second, I'm going to wake back up and I'm going to start getting a little stronger. So that's the sort of stuff we're going to bring to BTL because we've been at it for so long in this nerve world, in rejuvenating. And so having this technology is really proving exactly what we've been theorizing and working on and developing and just all these years.
Part of the challenge, I'm sure, is the too good to be true aspect of it. It's like, and the amount of conditioning of the mind through your own personal doctors, through the drug companies, messaging, through all kinds of advertisement. It hits you everywhere you live. And I mean, good God, my 8-year-old daughter sings the jingles of the, and they're really bad always, of the pharma companies. And it's just like, you go, oh, please, it's like, turn the TV off. But it's that thing of people got into the drugs, injections, and surgery cycle because they thought it was faster. They thought it was a quicker route to health. And in turn, it's a cycle that just gets you a little bit better and then kind of slides you back a little bit for various reasons because of side effects or efficacy or all different types of things with that. And then I had a frayed labrum, and so I had shoulder surgery. But before that, I had 5 cortisone shots over the course of 18 months. After the surgery, they said, oh, you got a 4-week rehab. My shoulder wasn't the same for 8 or 9 years and didn't get the snap back, I was like play tennis. So the idea that we think, and we've been conditioned that the surgeries, drugs, and injections are the shortcut, that's what we've got to turn the people's brains. And then in turn, that will turn the insurance companies so that they can start paying for some of these things that they view as alternative or non-traditional, which is based on traditions of centuries of traditions of understanding medicine and the body, but now enhanced by technologies, right?
Absolutely. I think that you make a very valid point that there's certainly the too good to be true mentality. There's skepticism. There's skepticism from the consumers, patients, and clients out there, There's skepticism from other physicians out there. Both parties have this sort of, it can't be true. There's no way. And if we were to go back 20 years ago and ask our 20-year-old self back a long time ago and say, hey, guess what? We can actually do video conferencing calls and we can talk across the world. They would have been like, that's not possible. You crazy? But it is reality. We're doing it right now. And that is just a testament to technological evolution. Now, there's two choices. We can be resistant to it or it can be accepting of it. And I think that's where medicine is starting to see that transition. Unfortunately, it's not as quick as we'd hope, but that's why innovators like the Nerve Health Institute and their organization and thought leaders like myself and many others that are out there, we're advocating for, listen, technology has given us an amazing superpower. That superpower is to heal and help in an appropriate way. That doesn't mean that surgery is going to be obsolete. That doesn't mean that medications are going to be obsolete. It just now means we have another option. We can still send mail out to our friend and communicate with them. Does it happen very often? No, we text them. So it's not that we're getting rid of one thing and replacing it and saying this is better. What this whole movement is now we have technology that's advanced all over the world, from cell phones to vehicles to the way that we function in various industries. In our industry, it has helped us to gain actual healthcare outcomes without medication, without surgery, without downtime. This is music to my ears, not just as a person that has owned and operated medical clinics, but this is music to the ears of patients. They don't want to take medications. They don't want to have downtime. They don't want to do surgery. They don't want risks involved. If there's an alternative that's not invasive, that's electromagnetic energy, that allows for us to rehabilitate muscles and regenerate the nerves and blood supply without having to take medication, without having to have downtime, why would we not accept this? And so in terms of that concept, it's just a matter of accepting that technology has evolved and it's given us a tool, a superpower. And it's really us to either ignore that tool, which means we're ignoring helping patients, or we accept that tool and utilize it and be leaders in the health advocacy that we're going into more and more each year. Now, the too good to be true, I've heard that a lot. There's no way it works. You can't fight clinical data and you can't fight clinical studies. And that's why BTL has invested so much time, energy, money, infrastructure, influence in creating medical studies. They have over 40 medical peer review articles on the M-Scope neotechnology, on the M-Cella. They have almost, they're going to be gaining almost comparable to that. There's so many clinical studies, and they don't just produce it and then stay quiet. They're constantly producing new data, new applications of the device. I think, honestly, we're going to be able to learn a lot from the Nerve Health Institute and what they're going to be finding out for us, because that we're going to be paying attention to and saying, how is the body changing from a nerve level? Should there be clinical trials done on this? Let's investigate further. These are the type of leaders that we need, because that's going to help us produce more data, more studies, more validation, so that skepticism, so that is it too true to be concept is going to be gone, right? We want to get rid of that. And I understand when anything is new that comes on, we're going to be hesitant. That's human behavior, but it's up to us to prove it. And there's clinical data to do just that. And so also, there's been over 4 million treatments already done worldwide. I mean, that's enough clinical data to prove anything and clinical, influence. So it's nothing new. We're just utilizing it in other ways. We've learned that the muscle contributes to so much more than we thought. It's not just for having beautiful abs and beautiful legs to show it off, to have emotional confidence, but it's there to help us live longer, have balance, have stability, help us age gracefully, help us have good nerve and brain health too, because it's a two-way street. The signal goes this way, comes back too. Keeping all of this healthy is all now focused on, and that we can't ignore. People are married to their traditional ways of practicing, and we can't take that away from them. There's nothing to. We're mindful and respectful of that. But just like everything else, we have to evolve. Medicine has to evolve, and it's our choice whether we want to continue practicing the old way, which once again, nothing wrong with that. But if we have a tool to get us to a place faster, to get us to successful outcomes faster for our patients, it is our due diligence to bring that tool on and provide it to our community, rather than practicing the old style of what we're used to doing. That's my thought on that.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'll elaborate a little bit more, and there certainly there is skepticism, and we I've lived in the skepticism. I'm in South Louisiana. We're in the heart of Cajun land down here. I'm like this major fish out of water here. If I was in a big city and had all this technology that we have in this office, it would be more fitting. But I love our area. I grew up in this area. I love helping our people, and we're very blessed to see people coming from everywhere to see us. And so in that capacity, there's something that people need to realize too, is the big pharmaceutical executives, and I'm not here to lay, there's beautiful things that can happen in medicine or surgery, but we're trying our best to eliminate, and I'm just thinking about my wife and kids and family and staff, my patients. We're trying to not go there as many times as possible, in your life, right? Because you don't know what could happen there. But let's just take the big pharmaceutical executives. They're worried about making a profit margin. I mean, they're in business. And so in their line of work, they don't want you to know two words: self-healing. So the body has a full capacity to heal itself. When I talk to patients here in Louisiana, they don't even know what a GMO is oftentimes. And when I say the word self-healing, your body heals itself, they're like, wait, I never really thought about it. I'm like, yes. I mean, your body is designed to heal itself. And so when we venture into having technology that is science-oriented, with studies backing it, and then, we're blessed to have testimonials everywhere around our office, and we still get people coming that are skeptical sometimes. But the whole self-healing thing is something that we need to create a better education of people about, or with, and just getting in tune with their bodies and understanding they should be worried about fixing their bodies real time when something goes wrong, rather than just waiting for a ton of conditions to develop and then ultimately choosing a surgery or a medication or all these other things that are out there.
I always tell people that if you invest in your health now, you'll save a lot more hardship and financial money long term. People say, oh, it's too expensive. Well, if you invest now, you don't have to worry about those bills later. And like you said, insurance, we don't know what the outcome of that's going to be. And self-healing is a word that they're allergic to. And the pharma companies are going to always want to once again, they provide amazing things, not to take anything away, but they're in the business of making drugs, and creating opportunities for themselves, because that's what a business does. So I 100% echo that point. And I'm glad that you mentioned it, because it's something that we've just been trained to think otherwise, and that's not anyone's fault. But we have other options now, and you're certainly bringing it to a community that hasn't otherwise had it. And I love that story. I love the fact that I've seen so many clinics adopt these technologies all around the world, and the ones I get most excited for are the ones that bring it to a community that's never seen it before. Not that bringing it into a community that is a metropolitan that has this technology in multiple clinics isn't exciting. It always is, but it's always nice to see it be brought into an area that is underserved. And now it's going to be served well more than enough, because the Nerve Health Institute is going to be there to produce these outcomes in a very high effective way for the community that no longer has to worry about those issues as much.
Let me play a little what if. So I've been sitting here thinking about, okay, what are the other things that this could possibly be used for? And thinking of the issues that are facing mothers, for instance, new mothers, expecting mothers. So childbirth issues to the mother's health are at an all-time high in the United States. The ability to get that baby out, right? Doesn't that come to all the pelvic floor muscles? Doesn't it come to a strong core? Doesn't it come to all of those things? Is there a way when we talk preventative, it's just like is to help make the childbirth process?
So absolutely, the ability for this to be utilized for pregnant individuals, certainly if they're actively pregnant, we cannot use this technology. However, if they're, let's say they're recovering from a pregnancy and want to become pregnant again to have an additional child, certainly there's going to be some things to consider. The pelvic floor goes through a lot of trauma during pregnancy if it's a natural birth. The abdomen goes through a lot of changes. It stretches out, the muscles become separated, there's injury that occurs. As that injury occurs, we start to have pain, we start to lose our core strength, we start to have a less of a posture that's proper, we start to develop back pain. There's so many problems that occur after a pregnancy. Now, what have we done for these things thus far? Nothing. We've done nothing. Mothers just deal with this. And that's unfortunate. They deal with things like urinary incontinence. They have to just continue to deal with abdominal wall separation. They have to continue to deal with back pain and bad posture and the inability to actually go and live a strengthened life with their young ones that they now have in the world. But now we can actually change that storyline. We can actually rehabilitate these muscles and help people regain their confidence, regain their youth, get rid of the urinary incontinence, close that abdominal wall separation, or that diastasis, they call it. All of these things we're now able to do non-surgically. What does this mean? This means that that mother gets confidence back. They get the strength back. They're youthful again. They now can be energetic for their new little child that they brought into this world. They can go hiking and jumping with them and playing sports and not have to worry about any discomfort in the abdomen or urinary incontinence or leakages to occur. They can further have another child because their intimacy is enhanced or protected. It hasn't suffered. Or right now, intimacy becomes a problem that also gets impacted with the pelvic floor being destroyed and with the abdomen being torn apart. We can rehabilitate these areas so people have emotional confidence with their own bodies, not just functionally, but also cosmetically. So these are all things amongst the pregnant individuals out there that either have had children recently or are looking to have another child and their body hasn't recovered from the previous one. Well, now we don't have to worry about that. We want to see those individuals. And to be quite frank, that is a large demand right now, is what to do, because once again, the individuals getting pregnant, people are getting pregnant a little bit later in life. Before, it was normal to be pregnant in the early 20s. Now it's late 30s, and that's normal. And as we're having our population have children later in life, that just means it becomes difficult to recover. Having a child in your 20s versus in your 30s, the body doesn't heal itself as quickly. So we need help. These patients need their body to have encouragement to heal. That encouragement is M-Cella for the pelvic floor, is M-Scope Neo for the abdomen. These are technologies that will help an older patient, older meaning in their 30s, older than the traditional 20s. These pregnant and post-pregnancy individuals, we can push their body along and say, hey, listen, you're still young. Your body's in your 30s, but you're still young. Let's activate these muscle groups. Let's activate these nerves and blood flow. Let's get you to heal faster so you can have another child. And at the very least, if you've had children, you can continue to be confident with your body and your functionality at a young age. So that's what this technology is helping with the pregnant individuals out there, or post-pregnancy individuals.
Got it. Chris?
Yes.
Do you have your own what if?
Yeah. A couple of things to add on that is, there's so many women that will have children, and I'm going to be honest with you. My wife and I have 3 children, and I've never been more excited to be a man than watching first childbirth. My wife deliver our first baby. So it's I can't even imagine being a woman and having to go through that type of experience. But on the doctor side, we see women coming to see us routinely, and when you get them in confidence in a room, and we sit down with one of my nurses in a room and we ask them about all the different things that are affecting them, and oftentimes we've had plenty of cases come in and they can't very much do a Kegel at all, Kegel contraction. So on their own, they've lost the ability to do a Kegel, or it's very, very weak, and they can't feel it very much when they're doing a Kegel. So that can obviously have less of a sexual experience. But then there's also just, you want to have that Kegel. We talked about the parasympathetic and healing side of your nervous system there. There's other issues they complain of is painful sex. Oftentimes, these are things people don't want to talk about sometimes, but it is what it is. A wife, a lot of times, will just have that first baby and literally live a life with painful sex with her husband and maybe never say anything about it. And so, and it's just simple. This type of technology is non-invasive, right? So they're not coming into my office. We're a non-invasive clinic, so they can come and get this technology discreetly in a room that's private with just sitting on a chair. I mean, that's what the M-Cella does. But it produces this. It has a magnet that just makes all that come back to life. And so there's so many different things that a pregnant woman experiences through this massive change in their body. And they can go from point A to point B so much quicker nowadays with this technology.
So now I see people at baby showers getting gift certificates,
I
right?
like that idea.
Hey, take that one to the bank, guys.
That's a great idea.
Seriously. Like, I mean, it would be screw the diapers, right?
That's fantastic.
I don't know. A new type of party. New type of party for
It's
sure.
funny that you mentioned diapers because there was a stat that
Might be the next big.
yeah, it is definitely. But there's a stat that I heard recently. It was about it was a colleague that told me this stat. He had this research article that he had cited, and he said that the United States sells more adult diapers than it does actual infant diapers. And that made me realize, I was like, that is a staggering stat. Like, it's a powerful statistic. And we neglect that thought. Like, we ask ourselves, like, there's no way, but it's absolutely true. There's more actual production of sales and more actual adult diapers that are sold than there are baby diapers. And that's not okay with me. And like, that's not all right. That means there's that many people suffering in silence. Or they've talked about it and they haven't had an opportunity. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We can change that number. It's up to us to now change that. But I want patients out there to know that there's opportunity. There's no reason to have to continue to deal with this and be emotionally defeated, physically defeated. And we don't have to worry about that anymore. We can now rehabilitate the pelvic floor, and we can change that to statistic and not have it be adult diapers are the highest sold thing over baby diapers. That's a ridiculous data point that was intriguing, but also upsetting in a way, because we have a solution for it now. There's no reason that should be a thing.
So also in that same line, there are so many people that would never say anything about wearing an adult diaper to anyone. And they just kind of took it, and say, hey, this is part of my normal routine. And maybe they see a doctor, but they never tell the doctor about it, right? So it's not something that you want to tell people about, but it's something that's the reality. It's happening. And it's happening to men just in the same capacity as to women. This pelvic floor down there, I mean, don't think for a second that men don't have a pelvic floor as well. So we want to keep all that connected, and you don't have to be embarrassed anymore. You don't have to just stock up on diapers for your future. You should do something to rejuvenate that area and get life back into it and get your body to heal itself.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a former mother-in-law who would be so embarrassed by the incontinence during the night that she would not drink water. And she would like pour the water in plants when she was given it because she just didn't want to do that. Well, she went into all kinds of different kidney issues and stuff, and just, I mean, she was literally almost killing herself on a nightly basis because she was depriving her body of water when it needed that, just from the sheer embarrassment of what she was going through. She was willing to use that as a trade-off. And you just think about the decision making we do and the shame and all of that kind of stuff when, like the statistics you're talking about, there's so many people. I mean, this nation is dealing with this baby boomer aging. And I mean, I don't know about you, but it feels like, a celebrity a day that's aging is dying, right? The people that we grew up with watching, that were the stars then and all this kind of stuff. It just seems like nonstop right now, but it's the time, right? It's just like there's so many more people that are in that age group, but there's also so many more people that can be helped. Guys, anything else? Any, as they say in the podcast business, any parting shots?
No, I really appreciate you being on, Dr. Patel, and sharing all your wisdom with BTL. It is definitely very, very exciting times here, and exciting times in general, with companies like BTL they have the greater good. I mean, the name of BTL is be the leader, right? They want to be the leader when it comes to physiotherapy equipment, and their focus is just that. And so having companies like this, and having products from companies like this, it just fits so much our whole mentality here, not only for now but in the future. I as a clinician, you want to be with a company that's going to be innovative, right? You don't want to be with some stagnant company that's not going to develop their technology, and be on top of things. I mean, I want to be with a company. Let's say in a few years they're like, wait, we found something better. I'm like, I'm all in. Let's go. That's the type of practice we have here. So it's very, very nice to have people like you, Dr. Patel, who are making this go much quicker forward in the education of doctors and clinics and people across the world, letting them know there are better options to help them. And for us personally here at the Nerve Health Institute, it's one of those perfect fitting type products where we're going to keep in our mindset of stimulating the brain and the circulation to parts, and literally getting the body to self-heal quicker.
Absolutely. And I appreciate, once again, the invitation to have this conversation. I think it's conversations like this that make this worth it, for the dedication, hard work, and the risk that we all take in advocating for these things. And I think that there's a lot to be still learned about. I think we're going to learn a lot from the Nerve Health Institute and all the different outcomes that you are providing to the patients that are going to undergo more treatments with you. And it's exciting times. And I think that it's just about being aware of it, and topics and conversations like this are helping spread that awareness. So I appreciate you guys being advocates for this, because this advocacy is exactly what the world needs, because it's time to change. It's time for the population out there to understand that we can slow down aging very quickly now. We can do that. We don't have to deal with aging. I'll just age and I'll just deal with it when I get. The conversations change now. We can keep the brain young. We can have it continue to fire. We can, as we mentioned, or as Doc mentioned earlier, you can re-circuit these things and rewire the brain to do its job again. It hasn't gone away. These pathways have just gone to sleep. Now we can wake them up. Now the question is the population out there ready to wake up with this fact? And that's where we're at. And we can wake the body up, but your mind has to wake up with it for us to get to that reality. And that's where we're at. And we're looking forward to having more conversations along the way, and looking forward to having you guys be a part of this journey, because it's advocates like you that make this worth it. It makes it a better place for patients, a safe place for patients to come to address these concerns after a stroke, after a pregnancy, after an injury, or just normal aging that occurs. They can come to institutes like yours to actually seek resolution. And we're looking forward to see what you guys do for the world. It's going to be exciting times ahead, not just for this industry, but also for you guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing the pathway that you guys help carve out with us.
Well, that's great. I think this has been an amazing episode of this podcast called Go with the Flow, because I think that's what we want to do with everything. I think that the conversation flowed, the energy flowed, and the information flowed to prospective patients and other physicians and clinicians. So thank you very much for participating.